Hello and welcome to the Intel World Open Qualifier Recap Show. I'm Logan Sama and I'm joined here in the studio today with Tyrant. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? Happy to be here. It's good to see you again.
Of course, in the flesh.
I know, right? It's incredible. Like, just, it's mad. It's mad.
We've got this awesome studio setup we're in as well. We've got this huge screen behind us. I haven't checked to see whether there's any lag on it, if we can play some sets on it later or after we finish. But we are here today to talk to you about the Intel World Open, which is happening right now. It's been ongoing, to be honest with you. Really exciting event. Opening up the world again to Street Fighter V. Explain to us a little bit about what's been going on.
So it's an entire worldwide event. We've got all these different regions from all around the world, you know, participating in all these different tournaments, which will start off with the Open Qualifier bracket, which anybody can sign up and play, and then that will eventually boil down to the Closed Qualifiers, and then eventually the regional finals after that. So, yeah.
Now, these events have been running this whole week. There's been dozens of them running across the whole world, thousands of participants taking part, and no one person could feasibly cover and follow all of that. So that's what we're here to do for you here on the show. We're going to be running through the events that have happened in the past week and looking at the winners of those regional events for the Open Qualifiers. But before we get to that, we're going to show you this short video to explain to you the journey that the players will be going on from Open to regional finals.
The Intel World Open is here. Do you have what it takes to lay claim to the trophy for your region? The online competition is broken up into 3 stages beginning in June: Open Qualifiers, Closed Qualifiers, and the Regional Finals. First, you'll have to fight through one of the 2 Open Qualifier tournaments in June. Each region is split into different countries and territories to form 26 different best-of-3 double elimination tournaments, with multiple opportunities for you to qualify. The winning players from each country or territory will then advance to the Closed Qualifiers and face off this time in a best-of-5 double elimination bracket. The winners of the Closed Qualifiers from each country or territory will then advance to the final stage of the Intel World Open, the Regional Finals. The Regional Finals take place in July and are broken up into 11 different regions, where the best players from each country or territory will meet. They'll fight once more in a best-of-5 double elimination bracket for the chance to become the first ever Intel World Open champions. Be sure to register and get ready for the action on intelworldopen.gg.
Hopefully now you have a complete understanding of the journey that these players are going to be going on through the Open Qualifiers to Closed Qualifiers all the way to Regional Finals. Let's take a deep dive into a preview now of these regions. Let's split it into the 4. Which one should we start with? I was thinking...
the best.
The best.
It's got to be the best.
It has to be the best region, the one that's clearly at the top. That we're massively biased, obviously. It's going to be Europe. Right. Whilst Europe might not be as high profile in the community, in the world community, as say North America or Asia, we have an abundance of champions here. You know, you go back as recently as 2018, we have world champions in Problem X, Evo. We've got Luffy, who won Evo as well.
Yeah, he did indeed. Very, very strong performance from him, and you know he's been on fire ever since. So,
literally, you know, this past month, Mr. Crimson was the first ever non-Asian player to win Red Bull Kumite as well, all competing in this region, including, of course, the players out in the Middle East. Let's take a look at the global overview here. As you can see, the split in the European region. Of course, it is EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. You can see Europe West there, the familiar flags of the UK and France. You can see Europe East, which includes Russia, and there you can see the Middle East, Africa, and West Asia, which is going to represent a lot of the professional players that we know from the UAE as well, looking at players like Big Bird and Angry Bird, amongst others that we've seen compete very recently. But these events are happening at the moment. As I said at the start of the show, we're going to be recapping the last 7 days of Open Qualifiers, and you're going to be seeing some of the action. Let's take some of the clips that are coming through as well, because you know, we are going to be doing a deep dive a little bit later on in the show. But let's talk about some of the players that we can expect to see competing in these regions. Let's take a look at the UK first. Of course, the region that we are so familiar familiar with, you're looking at guys like Problem X, Infectious, Hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, they were all out to play in the first UK event. Hurricane versus Problem X, a marquee match of any European event, to be honest with you, over the last 5 years.
Oh yeah, this has been going way back, man. These guys have been playing toe-to-toe since Street Fighter 4 days. Always a pleasure to see those. And as you can see here, moving on to the France side of things, players like Mr. Crimson, Kills You, both very, very strong performers. Mr. Crimson, like we said, hot off that Rebel Kumite win.
Yeah, both playing against each other. They're former teammates on AS Monaco, now free agents as well for anyone who may be watching. Luffy involved as well, the former world champion, another top professional player. And here we look at the Middle East. Angry Bird putting in that work with Seth against a player that I don't know a great deal about, but I'm told is a very versatile player in the region. Fisher MZA, he's got a Gull, he's got a Ken, he's got a Kuma, I think, as well. He's got a bunch of different
classics
in the roster. So I'm really looking forward to deep diving into that a little bit later on in the show. But that is a quick snippet of what to expect from Europe. We're looking forward to it. As we move on to what is my pick as the most difficult region in the world, the most depth of talent, Asia. And we're not just talking about Japan. We could just talk about Japan, to be honest with you, but we're not just talking about Japan. We're looking at South Korea, we're looking at Taiwan, we're looking at Oceania, we've got China out there as well. An absolute wealth of players in this region.
Absolutely. Some of the household names for Street Fighter, we're talking about, of course, like Daigo, Tokido, Bonchan, Gachikun. All these players are definitely the ones you know, but there's perhaps some more that you might not know about we're going to look at in a moment.
Whilst recently, they might have not been so dominant in terms of winning events, if you look at any major event, they're generally making up the majority of the player base there. You look at a Capcom Cup,
right.
32 players, you're expecting at least half of them to be representing Asia. Such a strong region, and we're really, really excited to see these guys coming out and compete. As you mentioned, some of the biggest favourites there as well. It's split down into 4 regions. You can see Japan and South Korea there. You've got East Asia, you've got Southeast Asia, and Oceania, which is great to see as well, making their first ever appearance at Capcom Cup last year, and now they're here at Intel World Open on the world stage. But look at that, 6 spots for Japan, and it's only right, surely.
Oh man, for sure. I mean, and it's like we spoke about. Okay, so all the household names, of course, you're going to know about those. But in these regions specifically as well, there is a lot of strong talent that perhaps doesn't travel, that do get an opportunity to shine here with the Intel World Open format. So that is another thing I'm really looking forward to seeing. Yeah,
of course. I mean, there's players out there. One of our friends, Pac, said it literally the other day. There's so many players that if it's their day, it's their day.
Right, for sure.
And we're going to see one of these here right now, actually. Tokido, one of the favourites, one of the most, well-respected, celebrated players in the world, going up against Pugera, back on the boxer as well. Yep. Love to see Pugera, a player that, we don't see travelling around the world to offline events, but we all know his name.
Yes, exactly.
We all know he loves that cheap stuff.
Oh, yeah, Ibuki and SF4.
He definitely showed up to play. And one of the young guns as well. There's so many exciting young talents coming through. The legend Daigo going up against Kawana. This is like a master and apprentice battle going on here as well.
It is indeed. Losing that Colleen here against Gull. Not traditionally a fantastic matchup, but, he's going to play it out regardless, man. Daigo, of course. Oh, my goodness.
Third strike games. Look at that.
That was crispy clean. Love that from Kawano, man. Another player that we saw at Rebel Kumite coming out doing his thing. Very close to qualifying in his bracket there, but didn't make it.
Crispy clean is exactly what we're expecting from the Asian region. An incredible talent pool. There's going to be some big upsets. We're going to be deep diving that later on in the show. But that was Asia. All right, then let's get into what is probably the loudest region, the most vocal region.
Of course.
And they've got a fair, to be fair, they can back it up. You know what I mean? They've got a fair few top players there. We're looking at the Americas, specifically North America. And when you look at North America, you immediately think of names like Punk, names like Idom, names like Knuckle Do, legends like Justin Wong, rising young players like Nephews, you said JB, Samurai. all kinds, and it's a stacked region, and it's exciting region. So much history there. We've split it up into North America West and North America East. You can see each region has 6 slots for the United States and 2 slots for the rest of North America. So obviously that's including like Canada, for example. That is split up, and that has been running over the past couple of weeks already. We already know some of the big names that have made it into the finals, and some of the names are still fighting it out. It's very interesting to see players involved here. This is an epic matchup as well. You've got the experience, the history of Sabin, NYC Furby, Arturo Sanchez, however you know him, and the brazen newcomer. Can you still call Punk a newcomer?
Nah, not at this point, man. Like he's definitely one of the greats in Street Fighter 5 for sure. Like he's been putting in work for a number of years now. But this is a matchup that he actually lost at the Rebel Kumite to Mr. Crimson, and man, like it's a tough one. It looks like
it is a tough one. I'm really excited and looking forward to running through this specifically, because there's going to be some great matches involved across this region. But let's take a look as we head down South Central and Southern America as well. A region that's really on the rise, right?
Of course.
There's some incredible talent there. We talk about the rising talent across Europe, Asia, North America. But boy, we look at the Dominican Republic.
Oh my goodness.
A Capcom Cup winner already in MENA, and they've got an abundance of talent to go with it. Players like Kaba, as you said, crossover. Such a healthy scene there. We're looking at South America as well. Countries like Brazil and Argentina, Peru, Chile. Incredible. And of course, you can't leave out Mexico. So active, such a strong history.
Always has been.
In fighting games as well. There you can see the breakdown. 4 spots for Mexico, 2 spots for the DR, another 2 spots for the rest of the region. South America, the abundance of the spots going to Brazil. They have by far the biggest player base in the region easily, and the other 4 spots will be split equally across the territory as well. So that is your split. I'm really looking forward to seeing these matches. We've seen South America emerge and get that spotlight very recently in the last couple of years through the CPT. I'm looking forward to see whether they can grasp the spotlight here in the Intel World Open. But let's move on now, because it is time to deep dive into some of these highlights as we first take a look at some of the big plays that came out of Europe.
sick defense.
All right, you saw some of the highlights. Let's get into it in depth, and we're going to break down Europe region by region. Starting off with Europe West. let's maintain that bias. We can go straight into UK 1. And we mentioned at the start of the show, there's a lot of great players out of the region in Europe. Problem X, one of the players, one of the heavy favourites for this, a former EVO champion, ever present at Capcom Cup. He wasn't able to make it out on the first try.
Not first try, no. Very, very strong players.
And it really highlights the difficulty and volatility, because by no means was he the only player of that caliber not to make it out on the first try. There you can see Infectious and Hurricane were the two players that made it out. Problem did actually finish third, so he made a great run after going to losers bracket early on against Mystic Smash, but Infectious is just so solid at this game, specifically in the online environment.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a former CBT online champion. He has got that under his belt, so he's going to show that in these big stakes tournaments, he's been able to really just hold it down, play his game, not be flustered or frustrated with the play environment. He can just play his game, as you can see here against Hurricane. This is the winners finals now, guys.
Yeah, as he's known, the machine, Infectious.jpg, the robot, the man is never flustered at all. And we all know what the online architecture's like. Things can happen that can throw you off mid-game. He is so good at staying focused and staying to the game plan that he has drilled and practiced over and over and over again.
Right.
And that Zeku is so deadly. As you said, he's got great pedigree, not just offline. We've seen him put in great performances at EVO. I think he finished third at EVO before. A great run of results as well in offline events. But online, he has a real pedigree. Here you can see the run there, making it past 2-0-2-0 in the upper bracket in winners. A very, very solid performance from him. Hurricane there sent to losers bracket, where he had to meet his old rival, his longtime rival, friend and training partner, Problem X, in the losers final. Let's take a look at some highlights of that if we can pull them up, because these guys play all the time. Literally every day they're playing. Yeah,
you'll literally see them just constantly in battle lounges, running the set, trying different characters out. But at the end of the day, they're going to go down to their two best characters, of course, M. Bison for Problem, and Hurricane with that classic signature cameo of his.
Oh, and Hurricane just catching him there with that V-trigger dive kick, so difficult to deal with, especially online. Problem here, getting the V-trigger, dashing up, and nothing, gets back thrown.
Didn't work out there. Here we go, the throw from Hurricane. He was really looking to just close this out. Problem sending out the blast to try and close out the round, but the DP! Oh my goodness, he knew. He knew!
And that's one of those situations where, you can just... on the surface, it looks like a YOLO, and it was a YOLO. Let's be honest.
Oh right.
But them man play each other so often.
Thousands.
It's a player versus player versus. So many levels to that. At which the point, the random element just throws people off there, and using the invincibility of the V-trigger, cannon spike there to take it. And Problem X isn't the one that goes on. One of the favourites doesn't go on. But as we said, there's multiple opportunities, and I'm sure he'll be back for qualifying round 2. But it is Infectious who goes through as first, and Hurricane as second out of that first Open Qualifier. Let's move on because we have another really, really strong country in this region, in France. Another country that has EVO champions, incredible history on the world stage. What an amazing community they have as well in France. Often overlooked, but so passionate.
Oh, absolutely. France, definitely one of the strongest communities right now. I mean, who could overlook Mr. Crimson's amazing victory over some of the best players in the entire world at Red Bull Kumite just, a couple of weeks ago. So he's fresh, hot off that victory, and he wants to keep that momentum going. He wants to get those wins under his belt, and really, he actually lost his sponsor a couple of weeks ago, so he's going to be...
the contract was up.
Yeah, contract finished.
In fact, he ended up playing his former teammate on that AS Monaco team after his sponsorship ran up the week after.
It's crazy.
Red Bull Kumite. Him and Killsu now free agents. If anyone's watching that wants to pick up an incredible European talent, Mr. Crimson and Killsu are both available. But here we go. Let's take a look. There's the confirmation. Mr. Crimson and Killsu. And again, we mentioned it with Problem X. Luffy, definitely one of the favourites, a guy that you'd normally expect to do incredibly well. He's been there or thereabouts, Capcom Cup finishes, EVO champions, multiple offline major wins, he wasn't able to get the job done at the first time of asking either.
Absolutely. You know, of course, France is no joke. They got some incredibly strong players, you know, as we just said. So it's going to be interesting to see if Luffy can maybe have another shot. There is one more chance for those guys to qualify out there. You know, you've got some other incredible players. You know, you've got guys like Nassim Claw, Akainu, some very strong players out there that are also going to be looking to qualify. So it's to be seen, you know, like I'd love to see Luffy in there, but it's going to be tough for him to make it through.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can see just the difficulty that this offline environment and the level of competition provides these players in terms of guaranteeing a qualifier. But thankfully, that's why we have these multiple rounds. Very interesting to see Killsy go for Armika in this matchup against Crimson rather than his normal Karin. But the matchup with Karin obviously is very difficult in terms of the ground game. But here we see Killsy getting in, and Mr. Crimson, to be honest with you, has an incredible experience in this matchup, playing against Luffy so many times.
They do play a lot for sure, but that matchup, as you saw, you know, Mr. Crimson able to just maintain his composure, doesn't want to deal with you know, all that crazy Mika nonsense. He's able to hold it down, play a solid defensive game, as you'd expect of a world-class Dhalsim player, right? And really able to just maintain his composure and take the match.
Well, that was the UK and France. We're still looking at Europe, so let's keep it moving. As we progress into the rest of Europe West, there's still an abundance of incredibly strong players in this region. We're looking at all of the Scandic countries, obviously Norway, Phenom. Out of there, we've got Sweden, Denmark, all of the players that are across that make up that region. But we're also looking at Germany, Spain, Italy. You know, strong players spread out all across the rest of Europe West. So it's really exciting. It's actually the first region we're going to look at that's already had 2 finals. There you go. You can see we've got 2 open qualifiers. 4 names have already progressed. We can see that Phenom, one of the favourites, of course, to be expected. You know, he's one of those guys that it doesn't matter about the pressure online.
I was about to say the same thing.
He really doesn't care. He is so nonplussed by everything. You know, that similar sort of approach to the game that like Infectious.
Yeah.
They're not put off by anything.
Listen, he's won his fair share of online CBT as well. You know, he's out here just to play the game and you know, just do his thing. So yeah,
and cool to see Rightman's Barnet come through in the second spot as well, because a player that's really developed this year. That I didn't know a lot about him until you know, Saltmine League. And started seeing that Manat putting in work and really started paying attention, and you know, the results have come through there.
Yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of run-ins with him online. I've realised, you know, this is a guy that really understands the game well, knows what he's doing, and a
nice spread of countries as well, because in the second one, there you see Fassa out of Germany and Vega Patch, who, you know, everyone loves.
Oh, come on. Man like Vega Patch, you gotta love him, man. One of the nicest guys out of the game, and of course he plays a low tier character, so he's a favourite as it is, you know. Yeah,
it's great to see. Let's take a look at some of the clips here. As you can see, I think this is the winners' final. Between Phenom and Rightman's Barnet, and Phenom is just an absolute bully.
Phenom the Moose.
This matchup used to be 7-3 against Karin. It's still pretty difficult for her now.
It's easier now with some.
EX takeover.
It's easier with some of the you know, the nerfs the Manat received with her buttons. You know, now she loses to. You lose more scenarios when she's trying to throw out those buttons a bit more. Character like Karin can take full advantage of that with the, you know, the great buttons that she has.
Wonderful standing medium punch. Button.
Everyone knows, man. It's the best one.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And Phenom, not to no one's surprise, advances on the first try. Like he pretty much does all the time. He did it last season. CPT won the first event out there. You know, done it again. Does it here at the Intel World Open. He's just Mr. Reliable. It's
so true. Like, and it goes back to what you said. Like, you said how he just like plays so well. You know, he doesn't care about pressure. Like, I was chatting to him at Rebel Kumite. It's the same thing. Like, he's just such a chilled out guy. It's awesome to see him again. And he just plays without worrying too much about anything. You know, he just kind of plays his game and just does what he wants to do.
Yeah, so he's going to be incredibly dangerous in this bracket.
Oh, of course.
I'm really looking forward to see when we get to the closed qualifiers and seeing how that transpires. Let's move on though, because we are also going to be looking at Russia. Now, Russia in Europe East. Russia is a big enough, not just territory, because geographically that country is enormous.
It's hench, man.
But they have a big community there as well. And whilst a lot of them don't get the opportunity to travel, they always show up for their online events.
They do.
So there's a number of players that we're familiar with. We've seen them in, for example, CPT.
Yep.
Over the years, some famous players out of there. What did we used to call the CPT?
Listen, it used to be the RAS Invitational, because RAS would show up with that boxer and just do work. But I don't see him in the list of names.
I don't think he's been that active.
No.
And Skeletor, the Fang player.
Yeah, Swag Skeletor.
But these days, you're looking at players like Dushaktik coming through, players like Papoy coming through as well.
Fun, mate.
That we've seen, you can actually see them there managing to make it through in the first 2 tries. There's another 2 events still to come, but yeah, Dushaktik, that Urian, very, very
yeah. Definitely saw a lot of him in the CPT Europe East tournaments. Bro, like, he's always very, very deadly with that Urian, so I'm not surprised to see him here at all. That would be a name that I would say to be up here for sure.
Jayat, not a player that I know a great deal about. I know he uses Shotos generally. I think he's still running Akuma now. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any of the clips yet. Papoy, super exciting. Laura.
Yes.
Always enjoyable. And Jamie TTM repping, I guess, the same team as Yus. That's
Ken.
the only thing I recognise. So, yeah. We have got some clips taken from that region as well. I want to see, Papoy in action if possible.
Yeah, that Laura.
Here we go. This is winners final, I believe, against Sunmate, who unfortunately wasn't able to come back. Sunmate, another player who's ever present in the Russian community and does actually travel a little bit. I've seen him at a few offline events in the region.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a pleasure to see him. Very passionate player, but Papoy here, oh my goodness. And this traditionally not actually a favourable matchup for Laura.
That EX4 Avenger just too far away, easy to react to. It's not one of those ones that just catches you out of unawares and you can't react to. It was certainly far enough to get a nice neutral jump punish.
Big punish.
The job done on Papoy. Advances there. There's still 2 events to go in Russia, so that's definitely open for a lot of players to still. We might still see Ras step up, come out of the rafters. The lights might go out and Ras might appear to take his place. Hopefully, yeah, definitely a good shot. We'll see a boxer a little bit later on doing some work and upsetting some people, but that is still to come. We are moving through Europe East though, and we've got more matches to show you. So let's get into that. All right, it's time to wrap up Europe, at least. We have the rest of Europe East, which is including regions, countries like Lithuania, Ukraine, and Poland, which is pretty cool.
That's where we are.
Exactly. Don't know a great deal about this region, I'm not going to lie, because when traditionally the events are split up on the Pro Tours, it's normally a Europe East as a whole. And as we mentioned in the previous section, just Russia absolutely dominates.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. So, we get to see some of the more lesser-known regions here. As you can see, some of the players that qualified. Malmus from Lithuania, very, very strong player. Very interesting to see him up there.
Yeah, Alex player, as you mentioned previously, managed to beat out Take My Mash in second place. And then we have 2 Polish players making it through in the second Open Qualifier. We have Aero Crater and Mirkan getting through as well, which is really exciting to see.
It's pretty cool.
Shout out to the Polish FGC. I know they have big events in Poland. I need to, come out and check some maybe in the future. But I know they're there and I know it's growing. So it's great to see that building and growing here. Let's take a look at how Malmus took this winners final against Take My Mash. Alex.
Yeah.
What do you reckon about Alex this year?
I think he's really strong, man. I definitely think he's really good. Of course, we've seen Problem X, a guy that puts a lot of faith into Alex, and for good reason. You see the buff to the V skill? So useful now for his
It's easier when you don't block on wake up.
Pressing buttons. Listen, his name is Take My Mash, so what more do you want?
Real talk. It does exactly what it says on the tin, you know what I mean? But one of the big things about Alex, of course, though, the fact that he does get way more reliable Oki. And that's why, he can press buttons on your wake up and pin you and trap you down. So, cool to see. We're going to be seeing a lot more interesting character variants and, you know, some of that local meta opening up as well. I'm really excited to see some lesser known, lesser used characters making their way on this online stage here for the Intel World Open. Really looking forward to it. But that is Europe wrapped up. Let's move within the same region though, over to the Middle East, Africa and West Asia, who've already had a number of events. We mentioned, we showed a clip previously of Angry Bird getting the job done out there as well. Let's talk a little bit about the Middle East, because for me, that's one of the most exciting emerging regions. I call it emerging. Really, they've been emerging for like over a decade, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's one of those regions that, like, I don't know, it kind of, regardless of all the strong players they keep pumping out, the actual number of players is quite small and the representation isn't that big. So, like,
it's just really elite.
Yes,
you know what I mean? They haven't got a bunch of pot monsters and scrubs. They've just got really godlike players.
20 like godlike players.
Yeah, which just, you know, shows the strength of their actual community and their training regime. You mentioned Angry Bird there, who made it out along with GTR, aka Rashid Alawadi, you can see came in second place. They're training partners. They play with each other all the time.
Right.
Big Bird, Angry Bird, training partners play with each other all the time. The guys in Kuwait, shout out to the guys in the White Castle, you know, they play all the time as well. And it's just a really strong building pool. Another region that I'm super happy to see coming through a little bit more is Africa. And we finally have some African representation, as Aridun made it out, and Caliban representing Turkey in the first qualifier in that region as well.
Yeah, Aridun, I remember first playing him on Street Fighter 4 using Adon. He's been playing for a long time, Street Fighter player, now moving to Rashid. So, yeah, he's a really strong player, of course, and it's nice to see some Algerian representation there as well.
Big up the North Africa, FGC, West Africa really strong as well. I hope to see them representing. But let's look at these clips here of Angry Bird with that set.
Oh my goodness.
Putting in the work against MZA's Val.
Oh, that was a mistake for sure. Not sure what he...
Shout out the rollback on that one.
Single hit confirms into suit, you're right. Yeah, we've seen that. All right, here we go. So MZA, a player that we didn't really know too much about, but must be pretty strong to make it here to win his finals. Unfortunately, losing to Angry Bird there with that one.
And here we have GTR.
Sick player.
Yeah, managing to make it through. Repping with Gil, we said, a character that very rarely seen, but he's been making him work. We saw him in the CPT on the weekend as well. What, 2-frame parry?
2-frame parry.
How many has he got? More than one?
You love to see it here. And look at this. So MZA opting for that Rose here against
he's
Gil.
got a stable of characters. Man.
Yeah.
He's like 3 or 4 during the tournament.
Look at that.
But GTR makes Gil look like a real legit top tier character, man. Like,
yeah, having
the light punch buffers are really strong. The hard reads on the parries, the conversions. Look, man, anytime I get hit with Gil in V-Trigger, my life flashes before my eyes.
Yeah, it hurts. And GTR having a really strong showing on CPT as well. Yeah. You know, taking it to like Big Bird as well.
Yeah, finished third place this weekend in the
Great stuff.
Middle East. So these players, you know, they're here, they're ready. They're representing, and they're going to be moving on into the closed qualifiers. But as you saw, there's still many events still to go for the open qualifiers. That reminds me, by the way, you should be signing up. Get online. You can still sign up if your events are happening in your region. But let's move on, because it is time to look at Asia. And let's kick it off with some highlights from the big plays out of Japan, South Korea, and East Asia. All right, then. It's time for what is arguably the main event. The most stacked.
They all came to see it.
The most stacked.
Oh, yeah.
We were speaking about how there's bound to be upsets in some of these qualifiers. And no region delivers upsets like Japan. None of them. Although you will never see a winner come out of any of these events in Japan that is not a worthy winner. They're all incredible players. But some of your favourites, they might not make it to the big show.
Right.
Because anything can happen. Speaking of upsets, look, you've got players that I've never heard of. Jose here beat a host of players.
Like tons of good players, man.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Professional level players all fell to this Manat that I have never heard of before.
This is what it comes down to. In Japan, the level of play there is so high that you're going to have people that you might never have heard of that don't travel. You know, they're not sponsored to play outside of Japan, so they just sit at home and play. But they're amazing players, you know, the people they train with. And that's why when you see these guys, you know, the top players, Daigo, Tokido, they rate these characters, you know, that you're not so sure about. It's because of players like this, you know, that they're playing against and learning the matchup from. So really, really good stuff.
Well, let's take a look at the players that have made it out. Look, you look at the first event, and to be honest with you, we've only just got the results through for the second qualifier as we put this together. It only just crept in the first 7 days, right? So, Bonchan and Tokido, well done. You did make it through. But this first event, again, there's no players that have made it out that aren't worthy. Gachikun, we know all about Gachikun.
We expected it.
A former Capcom Cup winner. One of the favourites going into Red Bull Kumite as well. Didn't have a great performance there. But, you know, he qualified for the Capcom Pro Tour Finals last season. He has been very, very solid, and that's he's paid off in winning first. Pugera, though, he upset a bunch of people, specifically one of the big favourites, Tokido, in that first tournament. Really, really, really surprising.
Yeah, Pugera, you know, long-time Street Fighter player. I believe he was robbing people with Ibuki in Street Fighter 4. Now he's robbing people with Boxer in Street Fighter 5, doing the same thing.
He loves a bit of cheapness, doesn't he?
Loves a bit of cheapness, yeah. That Balrog is looking very, very strong, to be honest with you. Like, this season, looking mad good. So here we go. This is some of the replays from the winners final, I believe.
Yeah, so Gachikun taking it to Tokido. This is a run back, actually, of the CPT from last year, where these guys played each other in the finals, if you remember, and Gachikun took that, didn't he, against Tokido?
Did indeed.
Still giving him that work here.
Wow, crouch heavy punch.
That oppressive corner.
Damn.
Pressure.
Love to see it. Gachikun right now, look at this
and
pressure.
It's time to get shimmy.
The shimmy, man. The footwork from Gachikun, so on point.
Here's winners finals.
Sorry, this is winners finals, yeah.
And you see Pugera here trying to bring it to Gachikun. Gachikun backing off, lulling him into a full sense of security, taking him to the corner, and that is back where all of the work gets done. I have no idea what that was because I don't speak the language. It was pretty high, given that we are already 40 seconds plus into the round.
All right, here we are. Here we go, the pressure, man. Oh my goodness, Gachikun just so on point. And these shimmies have been the tail of the tape.
Man.
Come on, every time. It's do or die at that moment, though. That's when the throw is almost guaranteed.
And Gachikun actually did mention that last year. One of his psychological things that he put together was how he plays in moments in which the victory is there for him, to adopt that killer instinct and really get it done. And you can see there 2-0 against Tokido, 2-0 against Pugera in winners final. Gachikun advances. Higuchi is a name that you're going to need to pay attention to a little bit later on. But Tokido managed to get past him, but then fell to Pugera 2-0. I have no idea what the Boxer Urian matchup is. I'd imagine it's quite difficult on the ground. There's no fireballs as well.
Good tools
and
to
now
approach.
with the V-shift as well mitigates some of the mix-ups at least, although not some of the true string activations, of course. But Pugera managing to get the job done against Tokido in emphatic fashion and book that place in the finals. However, it wasn't all she wrote, though, because actually, let's take a look at some of these clips here as Pugera sent Tokido out of the tournament.
Yep, losers final action here, guys. So look what a confirm there into that V skill. One of the things that really helped Boxer out, and look, and there was a ton more damage.
Tokido keeps on getting shimmied.
Yeah,
in this tournament.
Defensive throw.
I mean, you know how some of these Japanese players play, right? They get it in their mind that today is the day that I'm going to tech. Today is the day that I'm going to jump in. Today is the day I'm going to reversal and wake up.
Right.
Today's the day I'm going to dash. So obviously today was the throw tech day for Takedo. You know, that he stuck with that strategy and it didn't pay off for him. However, as I was saying just a minute ago, before I miscued, it wasn't the only upset on the day, because Daigo here losing a matchup that you told me is almost impossible to lose.
It's really bad. Like, if you ask any Colin player, what are your worst matchup with that character?
You ready?
They will all say Guile. Yeah. Oh, that was clean. What a confirm.
Third strike games.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Good stuff there. Wow. So Kawano, man. Another player that we saw, Rebel Kumite, very, very strong.
Yeah, kind of a master-apprentice matchup there as well.
Yeah,
Daigo has kind of taken Kawano.
That's a good point.
And co-signed him, brought him onto the Umhara Gold SFL team as well. He's been very vocal with support for Kawano. And Kawano's a really highly respected, rated player in the region. One of the reasons why they have Colin so high up on the tier list as well, I think.
Yeah, Rebel Kumite, Kawano was saying that, like, he's not this guy that ever went to the arcades. He just plays from home. He's a young player, you know.
New generation, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. New generation, playing on the controller, just playing from home on his PlayStation, and now here he is defeating Daigo in a high stakes tournament. You know, that's pretty huge.
Of course, none of them made it out. In the end, it was academic, but Daigo, one of the big favourites, and we're just showing you how difficult it is to be consistent here in this online environment against the quality of play that people are seeing. Everyone has the opportunity to compete in the Intel World Open. It's not just, you know, your prestige professional sponsored players with big travel budgets able to head any corners for any majors in the world. It's all indoors, it's all online, and everybody gets to fight in a battle, and we're seeing some big upsets.
Yep, and here we are. Here's another game here, of course.
So this is actually moving into the second qualifier, I believe.
Yeah, this is from the second one for sure.
And as we said, some of the favourites didn't make it out in the first time round. Second time you saw the spoiler, wow. Takedo and Bonchan did get the job done. So consistency paid out in the end. And obviously having those 4 qualifying spots from Japan means that the players that we know are the best players are eventually going to get their chance. I mean, when we get to the 3rd and 4th event, then it's going to start to get squeaky bum time for players like, you know, Momochi, Sako, Fudo, for example, the other professional players that we expect to see in these finals. There's only 6 places available to them, and there's easily more than 6 players in Japan that could make it out.
But don't forget, that's a lot of the big household names gone, you know, so if you're one of the ones that's, you know, going to participate in the up-and-coming ones. But this is, again, like we said, this is from the second...
So we actually watched this, right? It was
we watched it live.
Double jeopardy, because Margot sent Takedo to losers bracket first of all.
Right. Ooh.
Another shimmy. You love it.
So sick. Oh, he's dead. Very, very nice. Takedo, yeah. Like he was streaming his run. A lot of these players are streaming their runs. You can probably catch some of them on Twitch, you know, live. So, really, really cool.
And Takedo did make it into those qualifiers. So Takedo and Bonchan, 2 big names that we saw at Rebel Kumite only a couple of weeks ago, names that we've seen travel all around the world. They are representing into the Intel World Open, so that's great to see. We're going to carry on looking at the Asian region though, because we have Korea ready, South Korea specifically, and another region that, with regards to fighting games in general, right? South Korea is like a haven of fighting games across a number of different titles, even subgenres as well, because you think of Korea, you think of 3D fighters specifically also.
Of course.
But they have been really, really emergent in Street Fighter over the last decade.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so many strong players have been emerging around that region, and of course you've got those established players there that can really just pass the knowledge down to the younger generation and really just keep the ball rolling, help everybody improve, and just help everybody out, man. Like it's really, really cool to see that.
Yeah, like after the breakout of players like Punko and Infiltration,
of course, those are the ones.
Now you've had younger players stepping up out of their, you know, players like NL, and a guy that I don't really know a lot about called Emperor, who managed to make it out in the first one. Now he beat a strong list of players in there. You know, there wasn't a lot of players that were missing from this event, to be honest with you. the representation was very strong for South Korea, but Emperor getting it done with a roster of characters as well. So I'd be interested to see some of the clips of that when we can get them. But as we said, there's another qualifier still to come. So
there is.
Some of the other big names that you expect to see to make it out of South Korea still can do so. They have one more chance. But NL, let's talk a little bit about NL.
Oh my goodness. We talk about NL, man. Just such a dominant player. Premier winner.
Yeah.
The Capcom Pro Tour, very, very strong player. One of the best camis in the world, if not the best cami. You know, very, very established, so capable, and he's just proven himself time and time again. And I'm actually, you know, I would have expected to see NL here, so no surprise there for me. Really, really good player for sure, and using one of the best characters right now.
Yeah, he did divert the knee when
Akuma
when Cami got those season 4 nerfs, but now he's back on the Cami train. So let's see him here. There's the big bait.
Oh yeah.
He's going to eat a lot of damage and stun here.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
One more for the throw. Thank you very much.
Wow.
I knew what was going to happen even before. I've not seen that. I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Those back throw, man, the stun. As a Ken player, you should know all about that.
Yeah, bye.
So he'll get the V trigger locked and loaded.
He's
why
dead. Are you moving a pixel, a frame? You didn't block for a frame, sorry.
Goodbye. That's going to do it right there.
Yeah, Cami is just super oppressive. In the online environment as well, Cami is so oppressive.
Mate.
You literally can't do anything. When she activates V-Trigger, you're just blocking the whole time.
Of course. It's all plus. Boom, boom. Just keep it.
You press a light punch, you're getting blown up. You hold. We saw that happening with Problem X, actually. He held forward for a second. Saw it there just now. You hold forward for a second, that V-Trigger life kick is. It's too fast to react to.
Anytime she jumps, it's a mix-up. Yeah, V-shift introduced you now. You can potentially punish her a bit harder, but it's still a guess.
Then she just does jump around.
Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely blown up for it. She's really strong right now. I'm expecting to see a lot of Cami representation in these closed qualifiers as the better players start rising to the top.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the action from these upcoming regions. We've got lots more to come, so it's been a great show so far. We've got plenty more to bring you guys, so yeah.
Let's take a look at some of the other regions in Asia. Of course, one of the most interesting ones to look at is China. We've seen China have their own CPT events and offline events as well over the last few years. Now that we're running region-locked events and we're getting to have a real deep dive at some of the players out there, we're really seeing some interesting names emerge. It seems to be, over the last year as well, the land of the Urians. And, of course, a Urian did make it out of the brackets as well. But another name made it out that hasn't had a lot of success over the past year or so, but is, without a doubt, one of the most famous fighting game players in the world in terms of size of following, and that's Xiaohai.
A player that has been, he's been at celebrity status for a long time.
Been that.
Yeah, like, you know, from multiple games, King of Fighters, a lot of the old fighting games, you know, he's been putting in work. So, you know, he's got that following and that status that's built up over time. And yeah, Xiaohai definitely one of the, I mean, in the first few seasons of Street Fighter 5, he was just dominant.
In the first season, he was playing insane.
Yeah, he was ridiculous. I remember. Really,
like Cami just doing work, and now he's back again. It seems like, you know, it seems like he's ready. He's ready. You can see there that Xiaohai finishing in second place, and Ding Chunqiu is the player that won the first spot. An interesting fact about Ding Chunqiu, actually, he's only been playing for a couple of years.
Really?
He was previously a coach for a professional League of Legends.
Wow.
So he's bringing that analytical mind across the Street Fighter 5, and it's paid off for him.
That's a really cool story, actually. You know, like being able to take that, you know, very different game and bring it over to Street Fighter. But here we go. Here's some of the footage from the first qualifier here.
Yeah, this is a real example of why this matchup's hard if you're scared, because Xiaohai puts the fear of God into this poor Dalsim by taking to the skies, and he just wasn't able to effectively deal with these jumps. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what the approach is going to be. And when Xiaohai smells blood, he's like a shark in the water.
Oh, no doubt. He's on you. Like, he just doesn't stop. You saw right there, like, he had no fear of getting stopped at all. He was jumping non-stop. He was just pressuring away. The Dalsim, you know, did the wrong V-trigger activation, got interrupted. Just not going well for him. and Shanghai, that's his instinct. You know, he's such a storied player, and he's probably been in that situation so many times where he knows the opponent's afraid. He's just going to go in and do his work.
Well, last time round, he was stopped in his tracks by the Urians. I don't know what happened this time to send him to losers bracket, but there wasn't a Urian there. The likes of QQ. Who's the other one? Was it Xiaobao? Was the other one that was in there as well? Used Urian and M Bison from the last CPT. You'll remember.
Xiaobao, yeah.
And there's also in the Chinese region, obviously got Wei Li and the legend that is Dark Jawa still to come. But there is another Chinese event still to come on the lineup. Let's move over to Hong Kong. There's not been any Taiwanese events yet.
Not yet.
They have their own events still to come, as we said. But let's take a look at Hong Kong, which again has recently been producing some very impressive talent. Notably, that man in the first qualifying spot, Hot Dog.
Very, very strong and Bison player.
Yeah.
He's been putting in work now I feel like he kind of really flourished in the past couple of seasons of Street Fighter.
Definitely the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. He's definitely come out of his shell, and he's a lot more confident as a player. You know, he's really made great usage of that V-Trigger 2 with Bison. That's like his one of choice. Really, really strong player.
Yeah, he was using that before it was the go-to as well.
Yeah, he was.
Really putting in a lot of innovative work. Let's take a look at him up against C444. 4. I think there's 4 4s in there.
Makes sense, right?
A long-time boxer player, very well-known player from Hong Kong. I don't really see him at the big major events, but he's ever present in the local rankings over there. So here you can see Hot Dog really asserting his dominance, making the most of these frames, as Bison is wont to do, and just again blitzing through C to take his place in winners. It's very interesting though to see a name like Human Bomb make it there, because he's a player that's had a pedigree for a number of years. We've seen him do work as far back as Street Fighter 4, like Sakura back in the day. Then he had a really good start, I think, at the start of Street Fighter 5.
Chun-Li.
I mean,
come on, man.
He still had a really good start.
He did. Yeah, I know.
And then he hasn't really been as active as ever present. There's a couple of other players in that region that are quite interesting to look at as well. Chris Wong, I think I saw in the top 8 bracket as well. So there's more players to look out for. But it's nice to see like the new blood of Hot Dog and the more established names like Human Bomb.
That's nice.
I call Hot Dog new blood. He's our age. He's not really young. Relatively new on the competitive scene. So congrats to him to make it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, that's a really, really exciting group that made it out there. Looking forward to see who makes it out in the upcoming ones as well. So.
Yeah, there's still more open qualifiers to come. We're looking forward to that. We're bringing you those next week. Of course, you've seen the players that have already moved on to the closed qualifiers. Let us move on as we take a look at the next region. Let's take a look at some big plays. We are still in Asia, but let's keep it southeast now in the region, SEA. Now, we're all familiar with Singapore. There's been world champions out of the region. There's an abundance of strong players there, but they haven't actually played yet.
Not yet in there.
As of yet.
We will be getting around to that region sooner or later, but we have some other very strong regions that we go.
Yeah, so let's check out the rest of Southeast Asia. We're mainly looking at Malaysia, Thailand, those sort of areas there. So they've actually run 2 events already, which we can see the results for very shortly as they come up on the screen. But you're looking at players like I Am Chuan. It's one of the biggest ones in the region as well. What's the name of the Mika from that beat Cien in
Oh.
Remember though?
No, it's not there. It's not there. I know who you're talking about. But yeah, they've got some really, really strong players for sure.
One name that I'm really, really surprised to see on there is Lacuna C. Because they're one of like less than half a dozen competitive Falc players in the world. And we've said a couple of times on the show that, you know, we're going to be seeing some characters that we never normally see.
Absolutely.
Falc is a very rare gem.
Yes.
A shiny pick in any top 8, let alone winning the whole thing and beating out a player of the caliber of I Am Chuan, who we know so much about. He's travelled to majors like EVO, represented strongly in the online events and the Asian ranking events as well. Very, very strong guy from Malaysia. But the Falc, Lacuna C, was able to get the job done in that first event.
Really, really cool. And that's a character that, you know, there are maybe less than 5 top level players of in the entire world. So to see that at this level and qualifying for the Inter World Open, really, really cool.
Yeah, it's exciting, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome. Yeah.
Let's take a look at Chuan, though.
Guile.
Getting the job done here against Bells.
Yeah, so I believe...
Thailand, I believe?
I believe this is the losers final of the first
it is.
Open Qualifier.
Correct.
Ooh. Yeah, so traditionally not a fantastic match for Laura. Guile can keep her at bay very easily with this one. Look at the reaction time, yo! That was insane, man. Damn. Great
awareness of charge as well, ready to go. I believe this is Bells in the second event.
Yes. So he actually he came through for the second one as well. That's what I'm saying. Like, these are the chances that you have in the World Open with the multiple qualifiers. You know, come through to the second one.
Absolutely peppering Ayano here.
Yeah, man.
With those buttons, flames all over the gaff.
Laura
refusing to V reversal, and this is what you get.
All that damage adding up.
And there's the EX.
A read.
No, sir, not permitted. Not permitted.
Dunked.
But Ayana still made it out, representing India, I think it was as well, which is super cool.
That is awesome.
You see that kind of region, India, Pakistan representing in other games. It's cool to see a player representing here the Intel World Open, and that's really what the Intel World Open's about.
For sure.
Allowing some of these regions that maybe don't get a lot of shine, don't get a lot of opportunities to compete at the highest level here on the world stage. Very exciting.
Yeah, so like we said at the start of the show, you know, it's really, really cool to see some of these regions that don't normally have the representation, and because it's a worldwide event that's online, so many regions that haven't had a chance.
Well, one of the regions, as we move on, one of the regions that's very recently just started to have representation are the players of Oceania.
Oh, yes.
So we're looking mainly at Australia, but also New Zealand and some of the Pacific Islands that are out there as well. But recently, for the first time ever, we saw an Australian player qualify for the Capcom Cup Finals because of the region locked online format. And it was Rumours, who's a very strong player using Cody. But he is not one of the ones that made it out in these first 2. He still has 2 more opportunities, but there's a very strong competitive local scene. And you're seeing most of the names here that you'd expect.
You'd expect to see, yeah.
The most famous name by a mile in the region, both because of ability, you know, just travel, and his overall being probably one of the best looking men in the entire it would be Travis Styles, and he didn't make it out. BK Sama beat him to first spot. Actually, Travis Styles had to play his buddy in training part at ROF in that first match. And then you've got Rups and Somniac. So Rups is a Mika player that is ever present in the Unga Down Under series that do, and Somniac has just, you know, been such a strong presence in Australia for going all the way back to Street Fighter 4.
Oh yeah, I would have expected to see Somniac in this list. Like, that would have been one of my first picks when it comes to Australia for Street Fighter. So yeah, really strong Bison player. Expect to see him up there. No surprises there.
Yeah, so Australia, an emerging region, and a region that we've seen step up recently into this world stage and start to get a little bit more recognition.
Absolutely.
But there are more countries out there representing Oceania that just don't have the same infrastructure. Of course, benefited from Gfinity.
Oh yes,
being there and running their own elite
series, like to us, you know.
Exactly.
Likewise.
Yeah. But you've got countries like New Zealand that are so adjacent. You know, try and be part of the community as well, but just geographically, you know, due to connections and stuff as well, it's difficult for them to compete.
Right.
But they're, you know, making up the part of the rest of Oceania, and you can see the results here. And I'm going to let you read those names out because I'm dodging that one.
We're going to call him NZ at the top there.
It's actually NZ Maori boy.
Okay.
Trick.
Oh, I got mixed. Okay.
You've been in Poland for too long. You thought
that was a word. That was one word.
Madness.
Yeah.
But shout out to New Zealand, Maori boy. First place there. Mercy Plox. Now let's look at this next one though, because listen, if I was to show you that flag, I would happily bet all of my salary that you wouldn't know what that flag was.
I'm not going to lie, I don't. I only know because I've read the notes.
It's French Polynesia.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How cool is it to have a player repping from French Polynesia? Big up Vigo Legas defeating Renault there to get through in the finals. I think we've actually got a clip of that we can run as well in a bit. But there's still lots more spots to fight for out there.
Exactly.
Let's take a look at some of the gameplay, because I don't know anything about these players. That's one of the cool things about this Intel World Open, that there's so many new regions opening up to me, so many new players for me to see here. Vigo Legas, another Laura. Looks like Laura's doing all right getting out of these pools.
Yeah, Laura we've seen a lot of in these past few highlight clips, to be honest. But there we go. Yeah, the chase. The Kali V-shift's out. Okay, well, there we go. We saw some action there.
Didn't get to see the 3 count, unfortunately.
No, kicked out or 2.
We know, but both of them actually went on to qualify.
They made it.
They're going to be moving on, but great looks there.
It's really cool. Like, this is, and you know what actually really ties the whole event together and makes it really interesting for me? All of them using the tracksuit costumes. Like, now that I'm seeing it, all these different matches, you know, match after match after match, they're all using that. You know, it's very, very, it's really cool for this format. I like that a lot. Keeps it all the same, all together. You love to see it.
For me, you know, I just want to talk about, take a moment, if you don't mind, because we're talking about emerging scenes and what have you. Have you got any cool stories about traveling to some of these? Because, you know, in Europe, most of the focus is on UK and France, right?
Right.
You know, you and me both, we've both been active as players, firstly and foremostly, and then now having the opportunity to work on commentary and broadcast. But, you know, when you travel and meet some of these players in these communities that don't get so much attention, you know, what's that been like generally? There's
been some really, really cool ones, man. For me, the ones that stand out is, without a doubt, the Spanish community. You know, flying out there to Sonic Boom in Madrid is always awesome. You know, those guys are just so passionate, and it's a scene in the community that, like, I know haven't had a ton of exposure, but like anytime I've ever been out there, they've always just made me feel at home. You know, everybody really gets together and they're so passionate about these games, and when you go out there and see it live, it really does show. And that, you know,
it's had a huge effect on me as well, traveling to Latin America.
Oh right, yeah.
Such a beautiful place to go to, but
I need to go, man.
It's the community in general, you know, the guys in the DR, Puerto Rico has been one of the
so cool
places to go as well. And I know when I eventually get to go to events in Brazil or Argentina, they're going to be amazing as well.
Oh man,
Middle East, I always speak so highly as well of the Middle East, and you know, not to be sentimental for a moment, but you know, it's really had a profound effect on my life. Just you know, traveling abroad and meeting people that have lived in completely different
it's crazy,
you know, completely different circumstances, you know, different walks of life, different cultures, and we share that same love of Street Fighter, coming together, and you know, even if we don't speak the same language, we speak the same language. You know,
listen. The frame data is a universal language. Okay, we all speak that one. So, yeah, coming together and playing some Street Fighter is just a beautiful thing, man. Like, you know, anybody that's in the community, they're there to play for the passion of the game. So, yeah, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So,
yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to more communities getting some shine from the Intel World Open. It's a beautiful thing that all of these regions are getting their due time and attention, and we're going to be bringing you the full rundown of these closed qualifiers and regional finals as well, so you can see the finest players from all of these regions. I'm really excited about it, but we've got more closed qualifiers, more open qualifiers.
Open for now.
More open qualifiers to run through, whole regions left to look at. So let's move on to one of the loudest and most vocal and one of the most prolific regions, North America. And there you have it. One of the loudest, most prolific, brazen brash regions.
Oh, come on, man.
They're not humble, are they? They love it.
They love it. They love it. I mean, they got a lot to brag about.
They're not shy of singing their praises in North America. And let's be fair. Let's sing their praises a bit now here. You think about Street Fighter V. You obviously have to think about the legacy of the game, all the way back to when Street Fighter 2 came out in the early 90s. And ever since then, the America's just been a focal point of that game, breaking through into the West. The competitors there on the West Coast, the rivalry of West Coast, East Coast has been ongoing for decades across so many different titles. Even the rivalry between Japan and America that went back Street Fighter 2, Alpha, Street Fighter 4, and now continues in Street Fighter 5. There's a tremendous legacy. There's still players competing now that were competing against each other in those times. Shout out to Arturo, big up Daigo, and of course, big up Father Valle.
Father Valle.
Papa Valle.
Love to see it. Justin as well.
But now, in 2021, we are in an exciting age for North American Street Fighter V because there is a new generation of players in their early 20s that have been doing incredible work. And we're going to see some of them at the moment. So we're going to look at the USA West first. It's split in half, North America West, North America East, and then also USA West and rest of North America West. So as opposed to what you might normally be used to in the Capcom Pro Tour, they've split it based on country as well. As you can see in the first one, Chris CCH and JB both made it through. We were both very talented young players.
Absolutely.
But there's some names that you might have expected to see perhaps make it out. They didn't actually compete in that first one. Now, are we going to see them taking part in latter events? You'd hope to think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of strong players out there on the West Coast. You think of like Chris Tartarian, Filipino man.
They were obviously all involved.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's going to be very exciting to see who makes it through. But you can see Chris CCH here using the character.
Yeah, so
I'm really
on a run, right?
Yeah.
Very impressive run on his victory. This is the first one against Nova Spec.
Oof. Uh-oh. Yep, Sakura. Once you get in the corner, it can be so scary. But Ed, a character that more people are kind of realizing now, perhaps his potential.
I don't think there's any bad characters in this game.
I don't think so either. I agree with you.
And I think that was one of the only games that he actually lost.
Yeah, so here's another match from that. I presume the same set.
Yeah, I can see why they went back to character select there.
Yeah. We saw that.
So it's actually looking quite uphill for Chris CCH.
Yeah, what about the tracksuits here?
We just missed him pull back a perfect, so I'm not sure how that came. But Sakura, a big momentum character.
Yeah, heavy hitting character.
Corner pressure for her is terrible. That post-throw situation, incredibly strong. Nice, comes down with the button and actually beats her. Now let's see what he can get out of this V-trigger. Nice jump forward to completely negate that V-trigger's use.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Chris CCH, nice anti-air there, gets the forward throw.
As well.
Man, Sakura is just a character that she's got some really, really strong tools. Nice dash up low forward there, closes out the round. Chris CCH. Getting back into it now. Of course, not just a Sakura.
This will be a set point now, I'd imagine.
Yep, I would imagine so.
Jab anti-air still in the game, I see. Lovely.
Yep, nice.
And again, this corner pressure throw, it just makes people have to make a choice. Nova Spec making the right choice that time, but not in neutral as he gets crush countered and put straight back in.
Nice.
Where the hell do you think you're going?
That's the buff right there. You saw that? The juggle off of the down forward heavy kick.
Heavy kick, right?
Yeah.
One more. There you go.
There we go. Beautiful stuff. Here we go. Speaking
Shout
of...
out to Filipino, man, representing with some Rose, the newest character in the game.
Yeah, love to see that.
Back to his old Street Fighter 4 love.
Oh, he was ridiculously good with that character in 4.
Swift punish. Sorry, block punish.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really separates Sakura is...
Yeah, it reaches so far, right?
Yeah, the range on their buttons, the walk speed is super good. Oh my goodness, opened up. And that's going to do it, I think. Yeah. Hard-hitting Sakura, damn. And we can see some more action from Chris CCH's very impressive run here. Oh my goodness, crush counter. I know you're a big fan of that button.
Shattered dreams all over the place. And the corner carry off that improved V-skill follow-up as well is really, really strong.
Yeah, you see Filipino man trying to make use of the tools here that Rose has. But man, it's the... I don't know.
Back in the corner, and that's really where all the magic happens.
Yeah.
Not tremendously strong in the neutral, I don't think, but she's strong enough. It's just her corner carry is just incredibly powerful.
Right, there we go.
It's interesting to see Filipino man using this this V-skill 1 as well.
Yeah. I don't think the V-skill 1 is terrible. Of course, there's an RNG factor to it, but I do think it's decent. The V-skill 2, you've got to think about the startup on it.
Yeah.
I mean, this one doesn't have great startup, but it's better than V-skill 2.
There's that carry again off the V-skill.
Ooh, dead.
The panic V-shift punished. And CCH manages to advance as well. Strong stuff from him.
Yeah, looking great. Really, really strong stuff, and a character that we don't really get to see a lot of. I don't know why. She's great.
Chris CCH has been doing really well. He's been using a variety of characters.
Guile as well, right?
Seth, G, some Guile in there as well. But Sakura, I think, is the character that he cares about the most. So really cool to see him get the result there with Sakura, and of course JB following up in second place as well. So we're looking forward to the next ones. I know players like Nephew and Samurai are still waiting in the wings.
Exactly.
We haven't seen from 801 Strider yet, Snake Eyes. So a very stacked region, but probably the most stacked region in the Western Hemisphere is USA East. It has to be.
Right now.
You've got 2 Capcom Cup champions there.
Yeah.
You've got arguably the greatest Street Fighter 5 player in the world today there as well. What a stacked region. Alongside, the most consistently competitive weekly event in NLBC. That's just a breeding ground for these players coming through. And there's so many more now that NLBC is online. And they've been showing out for the Intel World Open.
Absolutely, they're here to show their stuff, East Coast, very, very, very strong. And of course, we saw Punk and IDOM with strong showings at Red Bull Kumite.
Yeah.
Fresh back from that, they're looking to just continue that momentum.
No surprise, they are the 2 players that you can see as we put the results up that made it through in US.
No surprises, honestly.
Yeah, listen, sometimes the favourites do make it through.
There's not always upsets.
Sometimes things do go to plan.
Yeah.
And IDOM did make it through. But the very interesting story here is Punk, off the back of his Kumite loss to Mr. Crimson, was actually sent to losers bracket by Arturo Sanchez.
That's so true, man. Young Art was on form.
So he lost in the Sim versus Karin matchup, as we saw clips in the highlights earlier, I think. But then switched to Cammy. Got the job done. So very interesting there, as as that match evolves for him as a player, and he's looking at different tools.
But if I'm a Dowsim player, I'm going to be afraid of what Punk's going to figure out down the line, because he's going to come with some strategies against Dowsim specifically, because this is 2 big stakes tournaments that have been troublesome for him.
Absolutely. There you can see that IDOM, we're almost brushing over IDOM getting the job done, but he does get the job done.
He's so good.
And again, interestingly, taken to the wire by Arturo Sanchez in that Laura versus Dalsim matchup. Of course, IDOM losing out to Mr. Crimson in the end at Red Bull Kumite in that same matchup. So it's interesting to see these matchups playing it out for Dalsim. Sabin unfortunately goes to losers bracket, where he is beaten soundly in the run back by Punk the God, and it is Punk that advances into the closed qualifiers as well. Shout out to Rob TV giving a strong showing. Big up to the No Neutral boys, Rob and Brian.
Absolutely, definitely out here, not just doing the content, playing as well. Showing why they're out here.
We're going to talk about that next week, by the way, guys.
Don't worry, we got some stuff.
The content creators putting in work in the Intel World Open, because stuff has been going on. But let's have a look at this. This is I believe the run back. Then this is the qualification match.
Yeah, it must be, because I see Cammy. Man, I feel like it feels like Cammy has a much easier time approaching than Karin. I really...
Well, she's just she's a juggernaut, right? She's just an unstoppable force.
Maybe not.
It's very, very difficult for Dalsim to stop that happening.
Okay. There we go. So that was, I guess the Cammy match was first. I guess maybe he tried Cammy first and then went to Karin second, because this is where he got the win, right? Okay. All right. Look at this, just neutral base. Look how much grey life, by the way. That was 1 button that came off. Ooh, beautiful reactions from Punk. Dash up, gets the DP as well. Look at this. horrible situation right now. Oh man, jump medium kick. Punk, man. But you can't doubt him. Pink.
That is actually even more interesting to me now. Now that I realise that the replay.
Yeah, he switched it round. Yeah, it was
so
Cammy
he tried the Cammy first of all, and it didn't work out for him. And he went back to the carrying, and that's what got the job done. And 2-0 as well. You know, very impressive stuff. It just goes to show, though, the difference in the play styles, I guess, between different players using the same character. In that, in a matchup that maybe gave him so much trouble in Kumite against Mr. Crimson, he was able to get the job done against Saban. Although saying that, he did do really, really well in the sets before Kumite against Mr. Crimson as well.
He did. It was just on that day, nobody was beating Mr. Crimson.
Yeah.
You know, that's that simple. But man, yeah, Punk before that, just looking so dominant. He's just the best carrying. Like he has absolute mastery.
Is Punk the best Street Fighter 5 player in the world today?
Oh man, it's hard to argue it, honestly. He's had such a roller coaster path through the game. You know, remember the season 2 of Unstoppable Punk, the guy that just dominated everyone. You know, he fell off a little bit after that. Well, I don't want to say fell off. He just didn't have the results he deserves. And then after that, just
I think that's the most important talking point when you look at Punk as a player. You know, in terms of ability, he is unequivocally up there.
Astounding,
It's funny because we're here in esports, and you have to use the same standards you would in pro sports. In that,
that's true.
He's great, but where's the trophies? You know, where's the cup? You know, is he going to get this Intel World Open regional for the USA? Is he going to be able to get a Capcom Cup this year? Is he going to be able to get an Evo? He needs one of those to cement his legacy.
I agree. Like he's had everything else. You know, everything else has not been evaded by Punk. But yeah, he needs that big win, I feel like, and he's well overdue. You know, we all know that. One of the best players in the world, if not the best Street Fighter 5 player. So.
Well, we have got more events coming in both the United States and the rest of North America. Those are ongoing as well. But we're going to move now to Central and South America, one of the most exciting emerging regions. There's loads of incredible talent. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here. All right, it's time to move into one of the most exciting regions in the whole world of Street Fighter 5, Central and Southern America. I love it. I love it.
These guys.
I love this place. You know, the community's so welcoming, warm and loving. They're so exciting. You know what I actually think it might be? You know, it's that inner British football hooligan. You know, we have that with South America. We have that shared love of football. I'm not calling it anything else, football, and maybe that's why we get on so well. I just love all of the regions, Central and Southern America.
It's all about supporting your own, one of our own. You know, you want to support them. You want to come out here and support your boys, have your fun, and be as loud as possible.
Well, we're going to start off with Central America, and this one's an interesting one because the two events that happen that we're going to cover, they're two countries that have very differing standings within the FGC. Mexico has such a storied history.
It's very rich.
Fighting games. It goes back decades.
Oh, yeah.
Across multiple titles.
Multiple titles, yeah.
You know, some of the best players in the world across an abundance of different games from different publishers.
Absolutely.
Dominican Republic, very new, emergent. You know, the young crop of players there, to the fact that they had a Capcom Cup champion, you know, in the second year of Street Fighter 5. What an incredible achievement
that was huge. I feel like that was almost a fire that fueled.
No one saw that coming.
Yeah, no one did, and it fueled the entire community. And you know, like
I mean, it literally did. You know.
Yeah,
Took the check home, built a gaming center, training hub, and look at the players that are coming through now. It's such an exciting region. I love Central America so much, Latin America as a whole, and you know, to see these guys getting their own, they've earned their own, you know, their own regional representation now.
Without doubt,
it's a given. You know, that these guys are going to get their own tournaments, and they've come through. So let's take a look. Some of the familiar names you'd be expecting: Kusanagi out of Mexico. We've got El Tigre in Mexico as well. I believe this is the winners' final from the first match. So sorry, from the first tournament. So 8th grade repping the Ziku.
Yeah, Zeku there. Boom, boom, boom.
Getting the work done, trying to steal frames, dash up and block. We've seen that in the highlights. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, the dash isn't legit after that, but it's a clever little bait. Kusanagi gets baited out at that time, but he went on to actually win that first one, and he went through. El Tigre, back as El Tigre, changed his name for a little bit, but to try and throw us off the scent. But we would recognise that Laura anywhere.
Yeah. One of the strongest Lauras. That was so sick, by the way. That was godlike. You saw that, the armor for the V-shift break.
That was clean.
Very, very smart stuff. Okay, but it's Vega at the end of the day. Look at this. The footwork. Damn. Plus. Okay. El Tigre. Just, oh my goodness.
Yeah, he made the hard read and dash up command grab.
Yeah.
Up forward.
Banked it. Went for it there.
So the qualifiers, as you can see on the graphic, is the Kusanagi. And 8th grade.
8th grade.
In the first Open qualifier. And then in the second Open qualifier that's just finished, we had El Tigre and Solving 2. Hokuto not able to run it back and make it through there. So they're the 4 players that are already through from Mexico. There's more qualifiers still to happen, and we'll be catching up with those next week. But let's move on to, you know, one of the coolest places I've been to.
Oh, I'm jealous, man.
And I love rubbing it in that you guys have never been. Dominican Republic.
It looks so cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, if I could get a pair of spray-on jeans and a big chain and a crisp fade, you know, I'd feel at home.
I did the commentary for First Attack 2020, and like, oh man, like just even being in the Discord chat with those guys as we were doing the thing was just, they were so energetic and passionate, and Mono and those guys are just really putting in the work out there, and I'd love to attend one of their tournaments one day.
Yeah, man. I mean, Puerto Rico's a lovely place to be. That whole region in the Caribbean, so full of. We've actually got more Caribbean representation in the latter events as well,
right.
As they came through. Shout out to St. Lucia. We'll get to that in a minute. But Dominican Republic had their own tournament for their own country.
That's big.
And I feel like they deserve it. They've got players like Mena there, Kaba, Crossover, so many young guns like Hermes Venatori coming through as well. Very, very exciting region. I really enjoy the Street Fighter. And they're really organised as well. They put on a ton of events out there as well. They're always competing. They're always doing exhibitions, leagues, events online, tournaments online, money matches. It's just such an active, like hyperbolic chamber, to use one of your references, in terms of leveling up there. They're just all together in that lab, working hard all the time.
Absolutely, and it's like you said, like we said earlier, you know, Mena winning Capcom Cup was such a big boost in morale. You know, for those guys.
You know, it shows how difficult it is to qualify in these events, because as you can see, Mena did not make it through in first. He did make it through in second, but he would have been the big favourite. Another big favourite that wasn't able to make it through at all, in fact, because he was knocked out by Mena in losers bracket, is Kaba, who lost in top 8 in the brackets. And then went on to be eliminated by Mena very, very early on in losers. So a bit of a surprise, but there's still events to go for the DR, and I'm sure we'll be seeing some more of those familiar faces in there. But it is, in the end, Mena that does go through. And who was it who won?
Mena made it through.
It's Crossover. It was Crossover.
Sorry,
God bless Crossover.
Mine went blank.
I'm interested. Is he still he was using Seth and Akuma?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure exactly who he's using, but I know those two characters I definitely associate with him for sure. Akuma is like his trademark.
Akuma's the
right?
one that I've
that's
seen
like
the most, but then he started dabbling with Seth. I'm not sure,
them Akuma nerfs,
he's one of those down players as well. So
the Akuma nerfs are too hard.
When the patch notes came out as well, and Seth wasn't like auto pick, then I don't know if it would have gone back. But now Seth's got that V trigger too, boy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. We see Kaba here up against Mena. I think this is the elimination match, in fact.
And I feel like these are the two big names that you'd associate with the region, you know?
Yeah. And to see these guys fighting out in losers so early on as well is a big shock. But there you go. I mean, this matchup should be bad for Birdie, but these guys just know each other.
Yeah, It's at this point, it's not about the characters on the screen. It's about the players behind the controllers. You know, that's what it comes down to there. So there you see.
Yeah, so men are able to still get through in second place. Crossover taking the first spot there. Momentary lapse of concentration from me, but big shout out to Crossover. Really excited to see him go on as well. Very strong player. And there's more players still to come from the Dominican Republic also. There you can see the sort of names that will definitely be back for another bite. There's Hermes Venatori in there as well, and Shangset also.
Man, really, I mean, these names up there that are kind of the ones that that we're very familiar with, you know, Crossover, Kaba, Mena. So, you know, I'm sure in the upcoming ones we'll probably see some of Kaba coming through.
I'm very interested to know like if Mena used about 15 different characters as well.
He's Sakura as well. He's using.
You know, is he doing like? It was great fun talking to him last year on the CPT, where it's like, I'm counting picking everybody. I've got characters for everybody. This was the first one. This was the first CPT. Like, I'm counter picking everybody. I've got characters for I'm only playing winning matchups. You know what? By the time that we spoke to him the second time, I'm only maining Seth. I'm just using Seth, just Seth. I'm just going to use Seth the whole time. Seth's great. So, like, clearly, last year he had a bit of crisis of confidence in terms of his strategy. I'll be interested to see what he goes back to. We saw his beloved Birdie coming out there again, and I'm sure we'll see Birdie again in the closed qualifiers. But there are more matches to come from the Dominican Republic as Open Qualifiers continue. Don't forget you can still sign up as well online on the Intel World Open website. Sign-ups are open until about half an hour before start as well, so you have no excuse.
There's no excuse, guys.
And find your local event and get involved, and you could be taking part in the Intel World Open as it continues. But we will continue. We've got more matches to bring you, so don't go anywhere. Let's get into the next region. We still have ample talent in the region to look at as well. You mentioned Tyrant, Puerto Rico. Shout out to Mono.
Yes,
he's done so much in that region, and you know the rest of the Caribbean, the Street Fighter community out there, and the rest of Central America are involved. I'm so happy that looking at this, as you can see it next to me right now, Ricky J repping for St. Lucia.
St. Lucia, yeah.
St. Lucia there in the top spot, representing the Intel World Open. This is exactly what the Intel World Open is all about. Grand Todokai coming through, representing for Panama as well, another strong country in the region as well. Beating out Mono PR in the losers final. Incredible match there between Urian and Fang, but Mono narrowly messing out, but they have another several events to hopefully compete in and qualify as well. Shout out to Mono, love always man. Let's move on though, because we now need to go south, and we're going to be looking at Brazil and also the rest of South America. There's an abundance of talent there. We've covered it over the years. We've seen it emerge. We've seen Brazil represented at Capcom Cup from actually the very first instance, with Chuchu, Bolinho coming through as well. And from then on, the region has grown in prominence and numbers as well, always repping with big numbers in the sign-ups as well.
Massive.
They've already had 2 events. And you have seen the first one was as a little bit more predictable in terms of names, and then the second one definitely threw a curveball for me. There's some names that I'd expect to see that I haven't seen pass through there. As you can see in front of you, Dark is a very well-respected player in Brazil, using G, I believe, and then Ronaldinho BR, Ronaldinho, as I should pronounce it properly, who just came off winning the Brazilian CPT.
Nash.
Well. doing it for Nash, those buffs, man. And shout out to Frozen, we'll get to him a little bit later on. Nash is out here doing work. Horus Paulin is a player that I know literally nothing about.
I've never seen that name before. Must be pretty strong if they can make it out in the first place spot there for that.
And Darigas, after missing out very, very narrowly in the losers bracket to Ronaldinho BR in the first Open Qualifier, does make it through in the second. To shout out to Darigas. I believe we have a small bit of footage from the qualifying match in the first tournament where we can see Mr. Ronaldinho in question putting some work in with Nash. Looking forward to see more of him. Let's take a look at this.
Oh, yes. Here we go. Okay, so Darigas right here rocking some Gil. Okay. Ooh. Target combo overhead right there. Ronaldinho will take it. Man, this guy's really been doing work with Nash, huh? Okay. These buffs, man, I'm telling you. That's the back kick is borderline ridiculous now. There we go. Good clean jump in's gonna take it.
Closing it out. And Nash is just so much more efficient now in terms of being able to like marshal the neutral, patrol that range and become really frustrating. Obviously in season 1 we saw, how ridiculous that dash was. But let's be honest, that Soback kick's no less ridiculous than that Season 1 dash was.
I think that Season 1 Nash was borderline ridiculous because the game hadn't been figured out yet. And because the game, when it first launched, did have a lot more problems with it than we used to. There was stuff with like the dash hitboxes and hurtboxes and frames.
Bro, he had a 16-frame dash and there was 8.5 frames of input delay.
There you go, the delay.
Good luck dealing with that. But after suffering those nerfs, Nash is back in the running again now, and getting represented. He seems to be quite popular in South America in general.
Yeah, I feel like Nash, definitely we're seeing a lot more usage of him, pretty much overall. He's not really too popular of a character anyway, but yeah, you're right, in that South America region, we are seeing some of those, there's some of Charlie.
So let's take a look at, there you go. Let's take a look at the rest of South America. Right now, you've got countries in there like Argentina, you've got Chile representing as well, and of course, Picoro from Peru. But it was Frozen that took the first one. Nash, yet again, and shout out to Frozen because he has been putting a bag of work. Let's be honest, actually, he hasn't only been using Nash because he's got a couple of other characters in there as well.
I saw Kage.
Kage in there as well.
Yeah, Kage.
But I'm gonna give the credit to Nash. It fits the narrative. Picoro, a player that we know a great deal about because he's been really flying the flag for Peru, standing at the top of the tower and just screaming for that community and being a real standard bearer for that community. He's already been to Capcom Cup. He's already qualified last season as well. This season he's back once again with that Bison and in the Intel World Open. But looking at the second qualifier, and it's all Chile. CL, a player that I don't know a great deal about, to be honest with you. But Young Ho, I definitely saw he stood out only because I have a childish fixation with his name. It's a hilarious name for me, and he uses Birdie as well. I noticed that, but he was active in the CBT last time round as well. So shout out to Chile representing. Love to see that CL boys out here. So yeah, good stuff.
Awesome stuff. Lots of representation out here, and this is one of the regions where we're going to be seeing a lot of emerging players, along with some of the more familiar names that we're used to seeing.
I probably can't wait until the closed qualifiers. Where we can have a real deep dive. We can see some of the longer sets, and really do some research on these players as well, and maybe bring in some of our mates and call some of the action live. I'm looking forward to that, but it's not that time yet because we still have more open qualifiers to go. They're ongoing, and we're going to be bringing you all the results right here on the Intel World Open Qualifiers recap show, same time next week. And of course, you at home are still able to sign up and qualify. There are events still ongoing as well. You can sign up to half an hour before start time.
There's no
I wish all events were like that. That would be great. No TOs wish that, but I, as a player, that's amazing.
Yeah, but both me and you know that as TOs, you don't want to be doing that for everybody. But yeah, with the Intel World Open, guys, definitely get involved up to half an hour beforehand. Get your sign-ups in and just represent your region, bring your A game, and just show your stuff to the world.
Yeah, man, I want to see more new faces, new names that I've never heard or seen of before.
Bring it.
Hopefully we're talking about you next week here on the Open Qualifier Recap Show. We'll be back same time. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll be seeing you on the show next week. Take care.